At the professional level of network marketing, there's a saying that you might have heard before that the best thing about network marketing is that anyone can do it. And the worst thing about network marketing is that anyone can do it. And the reason for that is because you want to give people hope. You want to give people opportunity. You want to speak into them and say that there's greatness and possibility within yourself. And technically, there's nothing holding you back from making this choice as long as you come up with the investment, get a loan, or pay for the products like you're in business, like you're ready to go. But after that point, it's just a wildly different set of skills and mindset and experience that people are bringing into this business, and they cannot skip the work. A win with us that you had since your last group call, since it's your first call, doesn't really count, but you've had a few changes like my Instagram handle to feel more aligned. I've added an application form in my bio and feeling more confident in being a mentor. That's awesome. Your biggest area of struggle inside of your business right now, your downlines just aren't producing, which is actually making me take a step back in my business. This is because I have outsourced my lead conversations so I could focus more on helping my downlines, but now I'm in a tricky place. My leads aren't converting because I'm not constantly voice noting and jumping on calls, but the time freedom of someone else doing the follow-ups is helpful, but I'm putting lots of effort into my downlines, but they can't seem to replicate the sales process. How can I support my downlines to duplicate? Because no one has made a sale and I have no idea where I'm going wrong. I share everything I can, yet I've had zero duplication. I feel this has significantly impacted my mindset when it comes to talking to leads, especially people I know, because I feel like a fraud. All right, let's talk about it. This is a very common leadership feeling. So first of all, it's normal. It's not you. There's nothing wrong with you, and it's not your fault. This is just the nature of the business, and it's a nature of your personal growth. So typically, if you do any sort of research using ChatGPT or something like that, one of the things that really helps calm our nervous system and realign our mindset to know that we are not a fraud and that we are awesome. Everybody here is awesome. So it's a good reminder that you are awesome. And is just understanding that success rates in every single thing out there is like 1%. So 1% of realtors are successful. 1% of athletes go pro. 1% of businesses are really, really successful. 1% of salespeople make all the money, and so on and so on. So it's a very small fraction of everything out there that it's just kind of how it goes. Now, with that being said, in the direct sales affiliate marketing space where there's duplication and it's a lower ticket, we're in high ticket, but compared to a franchise or other types of businesses, this is relatively inexpensive to invest and to get started, because the access to get in, and you don't need a degree, you don't need certain qualifications. It's basically anybody could walk in off the street. They could literally be released from jail yesterday, and they could buy a quad or a trifecta or a single product and be in business without judgment, without discrimination, without anything. So it's an equal playing field. And so at the professional level of network marketing, there's a saying that you might have heard before, that the best thing about network marketing is that anyone can do it. And the worst thing about network marketing is that anyone can do it. And the reason for that is because you want to give people hope. You want to give people opportunity. You want to speak into them and say that there's greatness and possibility within yourself. And technically, there's nothing holding you back from making this choice as long as you come up with the investment, get a loan, or pay for the products like you're in business, like you're ready to go. But after that point, it's just a wildly different set of skills and mindset and experience that people are bringing into this business, and they cannot skip the work. So often what is happening is that as we transition from our previous job, previous career into this space, sometimes you have transferable skills. So I don't know much about your story, but I'm just curious, before Enagic, what were you doing as a job or career? Give me some insight so I have an understanding of sort of like your background and your skills, and then I can kind of elaborate what I'm trying to say.
Oh, you're going to laugh at this. So I'm actually a cognitive behavioral therapist in the NHS. So
Okay.
mindset and working with people is just what I do all day, every day. I think that's why I'm good at like the talking side, and I'm good at, just hopping on calls with people and kind of taking over like leadership and all of that sort of stuff. But when it
Mhm.
comes down to like the nitty-gritty with my lot, I'm just like, I just don't know what more to say.
Yeah. So that's exactly what proves my point. And so when you're doing your ads or your lead generation right now, is it targeting people with the same exact career past as you, or is it more open, kind of like it could be a wider audience than just what you used to do?
Yeah, so I've gone down more of the route of right. So I've got a 16-month-old baby or toddler now. So I went down the route of turning maternity leave into forever type thing. Like I built my business on maternity leave. Like when I first started the business, it took me 6 months to make my first sale, but then I made 8 grand in my first 8 weeks of maternity leave. So that was kind of my like thing was build this on your maternity leave rather than necessarily being about career and profession. But that is something I have thought about more now is and that's what I said about kind of being a bit more aligned at the moment is moving more into that. Actually kind of want to work with professionals like either the NHS or, I'm not saying that they have to have a degree or anything like that, but a bit of work ethic. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So this is exactly what I was leading towards, is that being a mother or an expecting mother or being on maternity leave and, stepping away from something, maybe a job, maybe a career, maybe whatever, is going to give you a wide variety of women who have now stepped into your business. And what they are very quickly realizing is that maybe their sense of leadership, their sense of work ethic, their sense of understanding the mindset of others and the things that you used to do in your previous career, there's a lot more to learn than just simply going through the onboarding, the training, the getting set up, the ads, etc. Right. So it's more of a personal growth and skill set that is going to be a slower process to learn. And we should always correlate this to traditional schooling in some capacity, where if you go to college or university, even like a basic degree of something or certification of something is 1 to 2 years on the very, very low end, right? And that's just to learn like some fundamental entry level stuff on a topic. Now, if you go into like more in-depth training, it's 4 year degrees, and then masters are 8 years, and then some of them are 12 years and 15 years, and like, PhD doctorates, like super crazy amount of schooling where you're basically in school till you're like early 30s or mid 30s. So like when we realize how much schooling, practice, consistency, education, all the things that go into these other careers, only for them to come out on the other end making 200 grand a year, 500 grand a year, considering to be like really well off financially. You compare that to the journey here in Enagic, and it's relatively less time. So it's important for us to break things down and compare in our content, in our calls, and really give realistic timelines of what this journey actually looks like for somebody who is entering this entire space of marketing, sales, leadership, advertising, so many things. And someone's basically saying to you, I don't have any experience or any skills in any of this stuff, but I want freedom. I want to spend time with my kids. I want to be wealthy. I want the outcome. I want the results, which is all fine. But are you willing to put in the same amount of time as it takes to get a degree? Because you're getting a degree in freedom. You're getting a degree in wealth creation. You're getting a degree in leading others by first demonstrating you can lead you. This stuff takes time. So
Yeah.
in your case, how long have you been building your business now? 16 months or a year or what?
Not quite 2 years yet, just off 2 years.
Okay. So if you hear what I'm saying, you came into this business, no sales for 6 months.
Mhm.
However, how many years did you work at NHS with people before that?
15 years.
Okay. So we're getting somewhere now. So you can start to see how this is all correlated. So you had 15 years of human resource experience, understanding people, dealing with problem solving, so many things.
Mhm.
And you still couldn't make a sale for 6 months when you started.
Yeah.
My goodness, right? So context is so important to bring things back to like reality here. And not only that, but you weren't advertising to people from the NHS with the same background as you either. You were advertising making $8,000 when you were on maternity leave, which I'm assuming was in month 7, month 8.
No, so it's 8 grand in my first 8 weeks, and then obviously new mum life for a little bit. Had to just
Yeah.
and then from then on it was quite regular, like 4 or 5 figure months.
Okay. So I misunderstood what you were saying. So regardless, the example is still the same. So what you need to do now as someone who has progressed in the business, has made money, has developed the skills and understands things now, is you need to level up your targeting. And you need to change the level of expectation and qualification that is required to work with you. So think about it like this. When you have an entry-level job, like if you go on Craigslist or these websites where you can look for work, right? Jobseeker.com or whatever, these different websites, you will know you can find entry-level job opportunities that literally say like no previous experience needed. And that is what a lot of people say for an Enagic as well, if you actually pay close attention. No experience needed. We teach you everything, step-by-step training, which is fine. And it's kind of true, but you're also going to drastically shoot yourself, and your duplication odds are going to go drastically down. And it's going to turn more into like a 1% of these unqualified, no experience people will end up making it, right? That's just facts. So yes, it is still equal opportunity, like we talked about before, and anyone can do it. And if you want it badly enough, we're not going to basically stop you from joining this company and this opportunity. Like that's the beauty of this business model. But as you get more experience personally and your leadership is growing, your skill set is improving and so forth, you now get to choose your own qualifications that don't have anything to do with the Enagic or the industry. So now your job application that you have in your link in your bio gets to be more strict. And so you get to have a question, do you have any previous sales and marketing experience? Yes or no, just as an example. If they say no, they might be unqualified to work with you because it's not what you want anymore, as an example. If they say yes, I do, you could have a follow-up question that's like, how much experience do you have? 0 to 12 months, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years. They select that. And then you can ask a financial question. What's the most amount of commissions you've earned in a single month in sales? If they say they have sales experience, they should have earned commissions at some point doing something, because that's how salespeople get paid. So you see how this is now starting to come in, where not only do you want to count the number of applications you're receiving to work with you in a month, you want to actually separate number of applications and number of qualified applications. Just like you can be measuring the number of booked calls that you have on your calendar for sales calls, and you can also be measuring number of attended calls. Because if you're basing your closing percentage on booked calls and 50+% of those people aren't showing up to the call, your closing percentage looks like you are not very good at closing, but you're not even talking to people. You don't even have a chance. So you have to actually go deeper and go, this is how many attended calls I did. And out of the attended calls, how many people got started? Now that's going to give you more of a true representation of like, I'm a 30-40% closing rate. This is making sense.
Yeah.
So now you have to ask yourself, what do you feel are the qualities? Because you mentioned already work ethic, but you can't really ask that. Do you have work ethic, right? Because I think it would be weird if people said no. So you're almost always going to get a yes to that question, but it's still hard to explain, well, what does that mean? So you have to quantify it, right? So we want to find out how many hours they're willing to dedicate towards a side income, side business. Experience is a big one. You can ask them more questions like to explain, not explain, but to describe what someone who is a hard worker or has the type of work ethic that you're looking for, almost like paint a scenario. So here you are, you have a business, you just invested this amount of money, and you want to create freedom and freedom lifestyle and opportunity for yourself and your family. Describe to me how you're going to show up in this business. So now they would write like a paragraph or like, a few sentences describing what work ethic means to them. So they might say something like, I'm going to wake up early, put in 1 or 2 hours before I go to my job. I'm going to not go out on the weekends with my friends so I can learn and catch up on calls. So they can describe in their mind what they think hard work looks like. And then when you read the description, you're like, okay, that's work ethic. But someone might say like, I might show up here and there when I feel like it. And you're like, disqualified. So you see how we can ask questions that puts the ball in their court and makes them have to sort of justify the answer as opposed to just, yes, I work hard. And we're like, what does that mean? Because hard work to me and hard work to you is probably different in terms of a definition. And it's different from men and women. It's different from mothers and fathers. It's different from young people in college versus people with 3 kids hanging off of them all hours of the day. Those are all variables that we need to try to understand so we get a better idea if they're a good fit to work with us. In the beginning of our journey, we want to make a sale, period, end of story. If you have a credit card and you're going to buy some shit, welcome to the team. Am I right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden we start to go, oh my gosh, I've made a bunch of sales and nothing's happening for these people. Am I a fraud? What did I do wrong? And it starts to feel like it represents us. We're a bad leader. We have a bad platform. We have bad training. We suck so bad. But no, the actual problem was who you let into the front door. You know what I mean? It's like another example is imagine you threw a house party and you put a sign on your street, anyone's welcome, come by, I'm throwing a party. And then everyone comes and trashes your house and you're like, oh my God, well, anyone was welcome. Like you homeless people could have been at the party. Like it could have been crazy, right? Instead of invitation only, hand selected. This is a VIP event. You're here, you're vetted. I know who you are, and you come in my home. Is your house going to get trashed if you do it like that? Nope. Well, maybe, but you got to sign some waivers or some shit. But you know what I'm saying? Like most likely no, because you know kind of what you're going to get, right? So this is how we need to treat our business. So now as you transition from where you've been to where you want to go, you need to now be like, how can I increase the chances of someone hitting 4A with my support, doing some calls for them, getting them off the ground, teaching them the ropes, so that my reputation can become not about the number of direct sales that I have, but the number of people that are hitting 4A in their first 12 months. So then everything starts to shift because your content, you will start to say, this is Sarah. Sarah came from this background. She had previous experience. So you start to brag about their experience, not about the fact that they had no experience. You start to brag about the fact that they were making pretty good income and they were comfortable, but they had no time freedom. You start to actually talk about the things that you want in attracting the next person to join your business. And then you can say, I supported Sarah. I did her first 5 calls for her, helped her get to 4A in 6 months. And Sarah was very happy about this because in her previous career, it took her 15 years to work up to the corporate ladder, blah, blah, blah. And here she started to make more money in 6 months, which may seem like a long while for some people, but it's only 6 months. Now she's set up to win for the rest of her life. That's amazing. You know what I mean? So you start to actually feature your team members in your content who are hitting these levels like 3A and 4A. And that's really your sales bait, not the business model, not the products, not the comp plan, not the shit that's available to everybody, but another level that you're now focusing on. You're focusing on the people duplicating and winning in your team to attract other people who want to duplicate and win in your team, because that like attracts more of the same. So that's the shift that you have to make. Now, the other thing is that your approach to stopping your focus on directs and like helping your team members more is not ideal. So you got to focus on the people that are putting in the work, not the people that are just kind of like draining you and frustrating you and they're just not showing up. So you can still support them, but you have to do it with boundaries and you have to do it with, it has to be scalable. It can't be one-to-one. It can't be all hours of the day. They can't just text you any minute, any second, anything like that. So it's like a weekly team call, have resources that are evergreen, so FAQs, videos, coaching, stuff like this, that they can go reference before they need anything from you. And then if you do decide to do a one-on-one call, make it based on action that they've already taken, not on like a brainstorming session on what they should do. You get the call after you tell me what you've done. So you can say something like, How many pieces of content have you posted in the last 2 weeks? How many sales calls did you do in the last 2 weeks? You know, how many team calls did you attend and take notes on in the last 2 weeks? Like, what have you actually done? And then the person starts to realize as they're answering these questions, they're like 0, 0, nothing, 0, 0, nothing. It's like, this call is not happening. Cancel the call. Now you go back and go do something. Try your best. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to know what to say. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just show that you're taking some freaking action. And then fill this thing out again with the outcome of what you've done. And we can talk about what you've done, not what you're going to do. And then you can have a one-on-one session with somebody after 2 weeks or after a month or something like this. So you have to have certain action-based steps in place for someone to earn that time. Otherwise, what ends up happening is they're like, yeah, so I've been thinking about fill in the blank. I've been, wondering if. Oh my gosh, all you do is think and wonder and freaking live in the clouds, man. Like, come on, get some shit done. And it doesn't matter if what you did is wrong or you said it backwards or incorrect or you posted it on TikTok and you thought it went on Instagram. Like, it doesn't matter. You just did something. Now we can review it. You can actually have a link to a video or a post and you can look at it and go, hey, I really like what you wrote here. This is great. But maybe try to say it like this, or maybe edit your picture a little different, or have a hook that pulls people in better, or whatever the feedback might be. Instead of just, yeah, I was thinking about this, thinking about that. You're like, we're never going to get anywhere like this. So these are a couple of tips for you to reassess who you're bringing in. Choose a pre-qualification that is past the beginner level as a prerequisite. What are your prerequisites at this point that you feel both personally have helped you make sales and make money, that were transferable from your past, and turn those into prerequisites to come into your team, for one? And since you've been doing this business, what are some things that you've learned or witnessed in the community from other people who are winning? Maybe they're not in your team. They're like uplines or sidelines or just people like doing really well. Maybe you're watching their content. Maybe you're observing their behavior or whatever. And you've recognized some patterns and some similarities like, oh, these 10 people that are making the most sales, they all seem to do this one thing, and put that in your prerequisite as well, right? And then I think I forgot to ask you, are you running ads at the moment, or are you running organic content, or what's your primary lead gen strategy?
Yeah, ads at the moment. I say ads. I've only got one ad at the moment. I need to get better at that.
Well, that's all right, as long as it's producing you something.
Yeah.
So another thing we talk about a lot in the mentorship is around supply and demand. So you need to think about your maximum capacity for bringing someone into your business when it comes to direct sales in a month. So let me ask you this question. If you could have as many directs as you wanted in a month, what would be the maximum that you could handle without feeling like you're screwed? Like, oh my God, turn off these directs. I'm overwhelmed. I don't have systems. Everyone's messaging me like I hate my business, even though you're making a lot of money. But there's kind of like this tipping point where you start to feel stressed, overwhelmed, anxious. I can't do this. I need help. Oh my God, I want to go back to my job. There's this like tipping point. So if you were to pick a number, what would that number be for you right now? Maximum, before you're like, this is insane.
So in all honesty, it's a really hard question to answer because I am still working. Probably about 3 a month at the moment.
Okay, perfect.
Um,
And how
yeah.
many applications are you getting for people that want to work with you, like qualified leads at the moment in a month?
Well, the application thing I've only just really started. I've just been doing lead gen ads, which is probably about 300 a month I probably get from that ad.
Okay, so this is a powerful shift in your perspective. So out of 300 leads, 1%
Mm.
would be 3. Am I right?
Yeah.
So you are literally looking for 3, sifting through 300. So what you need to now figure out is, what are the key questions you can ask those 300 to very quickly identify if they're in the top 10 or top 20%. Because if you could filter the 300 down to 50, 60, that might be a fit, and then take them through a little bit of an extra like secondary qualification process to narrow it down to 20 or 15. and then do calls with those 10, 15. And then you're basically like, if you're tracking your closing percentage, a very common closing percentage is 30 to 40%. Like it's pretty normal to be around there. So you basically need to do 10 calls to get 3 sales. That's very realistic to happen. So out of 300 applications, you don't need to do 300 calls, right? You need to probably do 10 to 20 calls in a month to get 3 directs. Depending, like I said, I don't know your closing percentage. You would probably know it. Or if you don't know it, you should calculate it, how many calls you've done. Because your process right now is, do they watch something before you get on the phone with them? Or do you do a phone call and then they watch and then another phone call? Like, how do you kind of do things?
In all honesty, it depends whether they talk back to me even sometimes. If we're getting on really well, sometimes I'll be like, right, let's just jump on a call. Let's just have a, let's just have a chat about things. And then, yeah, and then go through the discovery process.
After the
Um,
call?
yeah. Or if I feel like actually it might just help you watching my web class, then watch that and then we'll hop on a call before they then go on to the discovery process. It just depends on the vibe that I'm getting from them, to be honest.
So that's actually going to make your life harder to do it like that.
I know I do feel in a bit
Because
of a mess with it.
you have too many unpredictable variables to see what's actually working.
Mm,
And to have a process that isn't a process, it's like, we'll see how the day goes. How are you going to duplicate that?
I totally appreciate that. Yeah.
You're not going to duplicate it and you're not getting duplication. So there's a connection to this. Because
Mm.
if I'm on your team and I ask you, hey, how do you do things? And you go, well, it depends on the vibe. Game over. That person can't ever win. So what you need to do now is you need to create your process that when you analyze your past sales that you've had, what has been the way that you've gotten them? Because I'm sure there's some similarities. I don't think you've
Yeah.
gotten a sale a completely different way every single time.
No, it's usually just whether it's through an ad or whether they've just started following me or whatever, it's then just through a bit of a normal conversation, mum life as well about the business. Let's hop on a call, let's talk about things.
But even that normal conversation is can't duplicate that.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to be like, I asked them these 3 questions. And it still will feel like a normal conversation because those questions are normal. But you need to know what are the 3 questions and you need to teach that to your team. When someone comes in my DMs, this is what I do. And you stick to that. Even when you have a different vibe and you want to do it a different way, you don't. Because then you're going to start to remove the variables and start to identify what's working and what's not working. Think about it like this, okay? This is a great example. If you've ever been to a McDonald's or a fast food chain, right? You walk into a McDonald's. I have always been fascinated by this specifically. There's like 15-year-olds running McDonald's as managers. These 15-year-olds can barely do anything else in life correct, but they can run a freaking $1 million franchise. Please tell me how. Do you think that person runs it based on their vibe of the day? Or they're like going through like a manual and this is how we do it. This is how we make the French fries. This is how we do everything, right? And so you need to systemize your process as much as you possibly can. Then you're going to narrow down the type of person you're letting into your business in the front door, like we talked about, by being more specific and pre-qualifying them with like a prerequisite of experience and skill set and whatever it may be. Now you're containing that variable on the front end. So you just don't have a bunch of random people, all different ages, languages, careers, everything. And you're like, I don't know how to deal with all of you because you're all completely different, right? Then they come through and they're like, what do I do? What do I say? And you can say, this is what I do every single day. This is my process. When someone comes in my DMs, this is how I talk to them. I ask them these 3 questions. We have normal mom life conversation, but these are the questions that guide it. So there's some sort of parameters that I'm staying within. And yes, of course, you need to have some experience on being relatable and building rapport and not being awkward and weird. And that's going to come with experience of just talking to people. But you're also not being like, just go with the flow and feel the vibe. And people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. My
Mm.
vibe and my flow is completely different than your vibe and your flow. So now we're screwed and now we can't help you. Right? Take them through that. As soon as you have a little bit of this back and forth exchange, something happens for you and these people every time. You have the subconscious cue that goes, now's the time to tell them to watch the discovery process. Now's the time to invite them to the web class. What is that cue? What are you looking for? What are you waiting for them to tell you? So now you put that into your process. When they say this, do this, send this link, ask them this question, and then you do that. Then you have another thing that you're doing, which is how do you follow up? What kind of timeline do you give this person to watch this information? How do you book a meeting from a meeting? When do you follow up? How do you do that process? And I want you to analyze the sales that you've gotten. If you look in your genealogy and it says Mike, Joe, Steve, Sarah, Michelle, go back to their Instagram accounts, go back in the chat history and actually review what happened. There's so much for us to learn on our successful conversations and sales we've had. This is another reason why I highly suggest doing sales calls on Zoom, not on audio on a phone, and recording the sales call. Because then when you look back, here's another powerful hack that you can do. You do a sales call, you transcribe it, you put it in ChatGPT, you ask ChatGPT to analyze why you converted that person into a sale, and it will tell you the psychological things that you didn't even know you were doing. How powerful is that? Now you start to basically have your way of selling and your process and how your brain thinks be explained to you after the fact from ChatGPT and be like, you use this technique and you ask this question, which did this and did that. And it tells you what you did. And you're like, oh shit, I didn't even realize I did that. But now I can take this training and give it to my team and be like, this is what I'm doing, guys. Even though I didn't know I was doing it, but now I know I was doing it. How powerful. This allows for duplication to start happening because people start to understand, oh, that's what happens when we say this. That's what makes people open up and share how, what's really going on and be vulnerable and talk about their pain so we can provide a solution. Oh, so you actually learn in reverse. It's like you're already doing it and you're trying to understand why you're doing it. And something like ChatGPT now allows us to have this like superpower, basically. Everybody uses ChatGPT before they take action. Imagine what you can do when you take action and get feedback on it. See how that's a completely different way of using the tool? It's very powerful. So these are some suggestions, but when we talk next, what I want you to think about is that your process is like a franchise system, that you're looking at all the variables, analyzing your past closed direct sales that you've had in the DMs and kind of what you've said and how you said it. Look for the similarities and try to create this turnkey formula for how you talk to people, what questions you ask, step by step, sort of what you take them through, and then prove it by doing that for the next 5 direct sales, and then turn around and give it to your team. You will have duplication start to happen. It's guaranteed. Otherwise, I go into McDonald's and I want French fries and I get yam fries. And I'm like, I didn't want yam fry. What is happening here? Something's broken, right? And we can very quickly figure out that the guy is placing yams on the order instead of potatoes, and like the whole thing's weird. We fix it because I'm not getting the outcome. So if you say step 1, 2, 3, say this, and they come on the call and be like, your process doesn't work, I'm not getting sales, I'm going to say, okay, show me your conversation, share your screen. Then we're going to go in the DMs and I'm going to say, that's not what I told you to say. Why did you ask that? We can very quickly identify what's happening. But if the coaching is you didn't go with the flow right that day, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not picking on you. I'm not, trying to be rude. I'm just telling you, like, how are you going to basically discover that they did it right or wrong? There's no context there, right? There's no specific details. So this applies for everybody here. If you're getting duplication from people, like back in the day when we first had our very first online system with GAZ, people that literally had no business making money online were making money online. And if you asked them how they were doing it, they would tell you they didn't know, because we gave them the ad, we gave them the ad copy, we had the videos pre-recorded, we had all the steps done, and we were literally removing any sort of critical thinking, brainstorming, problem solving, sales and marketing. We removed everything, and we were marketing it as a 90% done for you system. And it actually was. So people would have an $80,000 month, $100,000 month. But if you remove the system, take away the GAZ, take away the 90% system, there's no way they're going to do a $90,000, $100,000 month without it. They were system dependent. Now, there's a good thing about that to help new people get off to a good start and make money. But then you also have to peel it back after a while and have these people learn how to create results, even if the system disappeared. So that's kind of the catch 22 when you do, like, for example, if you bought the McDonald's franchise, you learned everything in the manual, and you're like, great, I'm a successful business owner. I own a successful McDonald's. You take the McDonald's brand away, you take the McDonald's menu away, you take the processes away, and you'd be like, here, start your own business. Most of those people will not have a successful business. They just don't know how to do it, right? So that's the same thing in affiliate marketing, network marketing. It's like, we can help you succeed, but you don't want to stay there long term and rely on it. You want to start to learn the different parts of the business piece by piece. So in your case, you've learned a lot of this through trial and error and through results, but now you have to look back on it and be like, you have the franchise that you want to give people. What's the franchise book? What is it? Create it, prototype it, prove it, and then it will help you with duplication, especially when you have the prerequisites of who you want to bring in start to be more than just simply maternity leave moms or these very broad topics, which is going to lead you to lots of directs and very little group sales or no group sales. Cool.
Thank you so much.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. I'm super excited to hear the updates as you start to add these pieces in.
Thank you. That's epic.
Okay, awesome.